So in today's video, I wanted to address two different things. One is how to rotate and how you can actually value certain areas over others. So I'm going to show you two different elements. One is the actual rotation part of it and how you should be rotating into the zone. And then also, once you already know where the zone's going to end up, where you ideally want to position yourself to give yourself the absolute power position so you can win as many matches as possible, because it does change depending on the individual zone. It's not like one location is all powerful at all times. You're going to have to know how to adjust it based off the given circumstances. So we'll take a look at all that. So right here, I'm going to focus on the first one, which is basic. This is pretty much a battle royale staple, and pretty much every battle royale is not just Call of Duty, because every battle royale has a zone that collapses. All right, zone's going to rotate in about a minute and a half. And normally what ends up happening is the basic technique that is in every battle royale is normally you want to stay close to the gas. The main reason for that is because literally with my back against the gas, no one's going to be behind me. Obviously you can get some bad luck where people are literally camping the gas, but odds are if your back is against the gas, you're not going to get hit by the gas. Then you push in one direction. So now, since I'm coming from this direction that I was just walking in, odds are it's going to be clear. So we know that this area is going to be clear. You just kind of edge around the gas. And as I push this direction, pretty much I only got to focus on this side, getting blindsided by that. But if I rotate all the way around here, and then when I come in with the gas, I know my back is clear. My right side's clear because I just walked past it. Obviously, someone could have been tracking from a little bit farther behind, and they could end up behind you. It's not 100% foolproof, but this is just a general rule of thumb. And then as the gas moves up, you'll creep up. All right, so now the gas is moving. Obviously, I'm caught in it. And there's two different routes you can go. You could either kind of stick to this edge where this cover is if you think enemies are primarily on this side, moving from cover to cover, peeking it. You already know you came from this side. Or if you feel like the enemies are on this left side, maybe you stick to the edge and you think they're up here, you can kind of stick to this edge. Because obviously, if I'm on this edge and somebody's over here, they're going to be able to spot you. So obviously I'm in Plunder. There is no gas. There aren't any zones that closing. You don't have to think about anything. Literally, you kill people, do some contracts, you turn it in, you'll win. It's relatively easy to win because the majority of the people are just leveling up their gun, doing challenges. Same thing like when you play Shipment 24/7. So let's say this is in the zone, right? Let's say we're looking at the map. And what ends up happening is this ends up being an okay power position. But if the zone's fairly big, you still got to worry about Firehouse. Somebody could have good sight line to where you're at here, and they'll be able to take you out. Same thing if somebody wants to snipe from up here. Oh, I thought I had my sniper. But if they want to snipe you from up here, you're kind of screwed. This isn't that strong because you can push people on this side. If you get sniped in the back from over there, they're going to be able to finish you off because of how the angle is for this. Even if you get downed, they're still going to be kind of able to see you on this ridge. So they're going to be able to see, not on the ridge, but on the top of that building, they'll be able to get you. So in a zone that contains this building here, which is right there, with the zone that contains that building and this building and the fire station, then what ends up happening is this ends up being the power position early on. If you feel like this is going to rotate over here and maybe you're coming up this way and this isn't going to be in the zone, then you know people will likely be coming from this spot because it was a power position. A lot of the best players, if they're going for a win, what they're going to do is position themselves in the power positions. So knowing that this is going to be a power position for this area because it has height, odds are 9 times out of 10, as you go through that area, you're going to find people in that area because everyone's going to go for those same contested areas. Same thing with this one. What happens is somebody wants to snipe you from this building. You're in a pretty good spot. See how you can kind of have cover? Even if you're down, they're not going to be able to see you. No matter where at on here, you could see them. They're kind of in the open. A lot of times in a late game, when you come out to this area of the map, I'll go ahead and highlight it on the map. This is another left quadrant that tends to close. And what ends up happening is this building ends up being kind of in one of the final circles, and it's kind of the last high ground. There's another building on this side, but what happens is since the zone tends to rotate towards over here somewhere, this ends up being the high ground of everyone rotating from the north side of the map down to this bottom position, kind of typically where this corner ends up. So what you got to know is that if you see a zone that's kind of closing in this area here, what you're going to do is know that, hey, you know what? We need to get to this position. we can expect that it's going to be contested because odds are if I go over here, there's almost 9 times out of 10 that somebody is thinking the same thing and they're going to position that way. So we have a building like this over here, and pretty much what's good about it is if enemies, you know, they're on this side, you got good head glitch. You could also be right here, good head glitch. If you get downed, your teammates can come up here and easily revive you, no problem. You got nice sight line all the way across. And then once it rotates, a lot of time it's going to cut off half the building, and then you'll only have people coming up from the bottom. You have a claymore, you just put a claymore down. You hear the claymore go off, you're good to go. And you're going to cover this aspect. And ideally what you're going to do is hold it down. You could jump off this side here and then rotate in. Enemy vehicle. And what you always got to be aware of is when you're moving from position to position, like for example, if the zone ended up out here, we'd have to kind of figure out where the high zone is. So if we go ahead and go over here, let's say the zone is ending out here, we got to figure out where the rotation is based off the land. So right here, a lot of times if I'm coming through, ooh, there's somebody sniping me from this side. I didn't see where they were at, so it's gonna be a little bit tricky. But you see right here, I'm in a lower ditch here, so they can't really see me. I broke the line of sight. If I want to come through, I might come up, and they're gonna be still looking at me. And what ends up happening is I can get lower, and this breaks the line of sight. Now they can't see me. So another example of a power position when it comes to this building, I'm over here at the stadium now, is understanding the different sight lines. Pretty much the only people that can hit you are on this high ridge on this side. Anywhere along there, they can hit you. They're far enough, high enough, they can hit you. So what ends up happening is, if the zone is closing on this side, and it's already closed on the downtown, then this backside isn't completely safe. Obviously, no one's going to be able to hit you. But if this is still in the zone, when it comes in, you might have to jump off here, and those people are going to be able to take you out, have a good sight line. Same thing on this side. If people are coming from downtown, there's still buildings that can hit you. So you can see there's a building here, 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 here. So this side is terrible as far as power positions go because you're pretty much in the open. If you go beyond this line right here, if you get sniped, you're pretty much done. You get sniped down, boom, you're okay. You can be undercover. Teammate can come revive you. You go ahead and try and snipe again. But pretty much the same thing's going to happen over and over. You're going to just be able to snipe, back and forth, and everyone dies. So now what I'm going to do is give you some actual examples from in-game. I just wanted to give you kind of some scenarios of actual layouts so you can kind of get an idea of that. So this is a real zone that actually happened. I ended up dying early, came back, got a few clean snipes, had like 3,000 damage, nothing crazy. But here is a similar zone that we kind of talked about. What ends up happening is we don't know where the next circle is. Obviously, if you do recons, you know where the next circle is going to be. And you can see I've marked this building in particular because I already know kind of the layout of the map. This is the best position to kind of be in besides this rooftop here. So there's kind of those two. The only downside with this is you're still pinched from both sides, so you'd have to be really coordinated on holding that down. But I think being on this edge of the map, if we can get in over to this building, we're going to be able to win the rotation and hopefully win the match. The guy ended up sticking through the wall, one of those little glitch thingies. And you can see the guy was up top there. Exactly where I was saying it was going to be. That's pretty much the rotation of what it happens. But this guy ended up sitting out here too long, and he was up top. If he was a little bit further down, he would have had a chance. He doesn't have any teammates, so if he doesn't have a self-res, he's pretty much dead. And this is a horrible position to put himself into. Ends up wiping, comes through. Gets a little clean double kill there because they team shot. And that pretty much cleaned it up, right? That we know that there's one guy by this orange marker. And then that's pretty much the last guy. He's got to rotate in. So let's go ahead and look at another one. So pretty much from this rotation, I still want to stay on the high ground. You can see that there is a guy down low. As I creep up, see I'm positioned behind the rock. I know that the enemies are pretty much in this area. Even if they're on this right side, I still have pretty good cover behind this rock. This tree provides good cover as well. Beam that dude. and then I rotate back towards my team to push back up. So pretty much where the enemies are going to be, there's 3 teams left, 11 bodies total, and I'm pretty sure there should be at least 1 person in this building. If not, this is a strong position because there's different entry points, different means of cover. Same thing next to this building. You can get on the roof where you can see T Clean's at. But we also know that this top part on the map, where the red dots are, that's another power position. So you kind of got to pick it where you think you're going to be able to win those. There are people like coming, there is one team coming through this left side, and we got to catch them rotating. So the key is to get into this building. We know that the people are up the hill, and we just got to play the zone. We might get lucky, but being in these 2 buildings here are very powerful compared to the rest of the zone. So this is another win doing recon, and what you can see here is kind of an overhead view of the map. There's pretty much a couple different positions that are pretty strong right here. We have the fire station, and we also have the police station, and then we also have a barn right here. This barn towards the middle of the map, and those were what I would consider the 3 power positions. Right here by the truck, a little bit over by the buy station, and then this little building right on the edge, because this one actually sits on top of the hill. And coincidentally, those 3 areas are where people are at the end of the match. There did end up being people over here in these buildings over here, and I believe there was people rotating on this top side through the middle here, cutting across, and they end up running into multiple people. But what ends up happening is why this is such a good position is because there's different angles you can take. There's not a lot of areas you can get shot from, especially when you're on top of them. You can get to cover. You can use different line of sights to protect yourself. It ends up being the different power positions. We didn't do enough recons to find out where the end was, but you can see that there is a guy on this building. There is a full team over here to the right. And that's 3 teams with us. And then we know that there's one coming out of this building, which is over by this vehicle that you can see on the screen right at the edge where those buildings were. There's probably like a solo somewhere, probably just kind of sneaking around, trying to be a little bit secretive. I think they ended up being over here. I think this was a 2 versus 3. The 3 ended up beating on the 2 or the 1. And that pretty much ends up being the 4 different or 5 different teams there where you're going to have to worry about. So now when we push across here, what ends up happening is these people should have been looking this way, down south, because they have a good power position. Then once they're in a good spot, rotate towards the edge of the map here and get a good sight line where you can get cover and maybe take out people coming across, because once this closes, they should be coming from this far right side. Especially if you rotated from the north, you know that that's clear. Maybe they're working all the way around and they're going to be in this building. So you got to kind of figure out how you want to position. But you can see right here, there's definitely a ridge across here where you want to use this as a head glitch. So as far as head glitching goes, this is probably the best position on this side of the map. So you'll kind of see it work out here. Those guys just ran across. They didn't really think about it. They actually rotated way too late. So what ended up happening is they had no choice other than to keep running. Especially if you don't have a gas mask, you literally remove that option from yourself and you can't actually just run up. So here's the building that I was talking about, the little side building. The main building's on the right. We do get a little bit of cover here, so we got to get to this edge as close as possible. And then we end up in a 4v1, so we're not really worried about it. The guy's got to rotate down, but you can see how much head glitch this guy has here. If he just peeks over, he's in a good spot. Got to rotate over here to the right. You can see how I'm kind of staying with the rock, peeking really quick. And that's one thing that you got to be aware of. I end up shooting the light. Didn't even see the guy. He's up on the top. But the guy gets taken out. The guy should have rotated. He would have had a sight line over the hill. And then he could have maybe got one of us down, go behind cover, strafe over to the side, come back up, get another one down, go back down. Obviously, if we have self-revives, it's going to be a little bit tough for them. But you kind of eliminated all option literally by just being on top of a building, out in the open, pretty much no cover, especially the way the angle of the zone is, and having to rotate. Literally, we could have just posted up behind this rock, and this guy would have had to jump off. And those are just a couple examples. Obviously, there's several examples that happen in game, but it really comes down to map knowledge, knowing exactly how the map lays out, knowing how the zone likes to shift, because it's not 100% random. If it were, we wouldn't have recons, which literally lay it out and map it out right at the beginning of the map. So that pretty much ends up being some of the things I want to talk about, how to rotate into the zone, and ideally where you're looking to rotate as far as power positions go. Hopefully you did find the video helpful. If you did, let me know by hitting that like button. If you're brand new, looking to find your way back, Make sure you are subscribed with notifications on. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.